Aloha mai kākou, e ia ke kahi ho ike e kōkua ia o kou i ke ia mea o ke Kahulu Pepeke Piko Hou. O ko a iki ke ia mea o ke Kahulu Pepeke Piko Hou a o ko a hoi ke Kahulu Pepeke Piko Ole. Ka ewehewehe i aku no. Nā mai poi na nā lula e ho'olohe o ia ka mea mua, ka elua e olelo pū, maka olelo pū e kōkua ana no, e ho'o i kaika ana no ka olelo. E kolu, ho ike i ka maupopo ole i nā he ninau, ho'o maupopo mai, ninau mai, maka leka wila paha, oia. He, no ka ike ana he Kahulu Pepeke Piko Hou. So I don't know what's a Kahulu Pepeke Piko Hou, what's a Kahulu Pepeke Piko Ole, how do we tell the difference? It's a good question. The main thing that we see is there's a Piko Hou. There's this new thing, and this new thing is the one that's doing this painu. It's not the old thing. How do we know it's doing this painu? This I doesn't really have a meaning, but it's there to show that this Piko Hou, this new thing, is the one doing this verb, this painu. And these verb markers usually are for things that are done habitually or things that may take place in the future that haven't happened yet. They mark uncompleted verbs. So the main, for example, ka ilio a'u e hana yai. Ka ilio, the dog. A'u, me, the Kailis possessive for ka'u, e hana yai. Who's doing this feeding? Whoever is possessing, the possessive piko, is the one that's possessing the action, not the thing. Ka ilio wa'u e hana yai, the dog that I feed. Is it my dog? Not necessarily, but I am the one that is feeding the dog. I feed the dog. Could be a stray dog, maybe not my dog. So this possessor isn't really possessing the thing, but it's possessing this action. You can also do it with a K possessive, ka'u ilio e hana yai. This ka'u isn't really for the ilio, but it's for this verb right over here. Ka'u ilio e hana yai, the dog that I feed. Not really, doesn't necessarily mean that it's my dog that I feed, but it's a dog that I feed. That makes sense. Throughout this whole presentation, I color coordinated it to try and get the hang of it. The purple is the one doing the orange. Purple and orange go together. Who's doing the verb? Look for the purple. Same thing with proper nouns. Ka ilio wa pua e hana yai. Ka ilio wa pua e hana yai. Is a dog feeding pua? No, because we can see that this I shows that this new possessor, this new Piko Hou, is the one doing this action. So pua feeds the dog. It's a dog that pua feeds. And same thing with a K possessive, goes in front. Ka pua ilio e hana yai, the dog that pua feeds. And with common nouns, ka ilio wa ke keiki e hana yai, the dog that the keiki feeds. We can see because there is that I. The main thing that the Kahulu Pepeke Piko Hou has, that the Kahulu Pepeke Piko Ole doesn't, this I. And ka ke keiki ilio e hana yai, not really too common. Just because it's hard to produce and it's hard to kind of get the picture in your head, this ka ke keiki ilio, just in general, K possessives in front of common nouns, not too common to hear and not too common to say. And continuing on with just the same exact thing, but a different verb marker. Instead of e painuai, showing that this painu, this verb, is taking place habitually or maybe in the future, this I painuai, much like how a ua turns into an I when you put an a ole in front of it. This marks a completed verb, I painuai. So the exact same rundown of the Kahulu Pepeke Piko Hou, but instead of the e painuai, I painuai. And what does this I mean? It shows that this new piko, this new thing that's introduced, the possessor, this is the one that actually, if this makes it easier, instead of this being the possessor of the mea, this is actually the possessor of the verb. And if you guys have a question, why isn't it o piko hou I painu ai? Usually it's marked with a kino a, this a like a ka'u versus a ko'u, because it shows that this has agency over this painu. This is the one choosing to do the verb. So this, technically, when you look at it, you're not really owning the thing, you're owning the verb. So an example, kai'au I aiai. Kai'au I aiai. So we have an i'a, we have au being you, the keyless possessive of kau, and past it, like the verbs completed, kalamai for the past tense, kind of pa'an my English thinking brain. But this e means that this I, this eating, is pau. And this last I, a little bit confusing, you get two I's, but this last I shows that you were the one eating the fish. Now you ate the fish rather than the fish ate you. And then for the ke possessive, kau i'a I aiai, the fish that you ate. Kind of seeing that you're the one choosing, you're the main person that is doing this verb, that did this verb, I. Another example with a proper noun, kai'a a makana I aiai. Kai'a makana I aiai. The fish didn't eat makana, but makana ate the fish. And we can see that because this little I tells us so. And ka makana i'a I aiai, just the one with the ke possessive, ka makana i'a I aiai. And with the regular common nouns, kai'a a kapopoki I aiai. Kai'a kapopoki I aiai. Who did the I? Who when eat the i'a? It was the popoki. Rarely, probably 0.1% of the time you'll see this one, just because not real common. The ke possessive for just in general, a ke possessive for a common noun, not too common. Ka kapopoki I aiai. Ka kapopoki I aiai. The cat's fish that he ate. Now you get the same thing, but with a different verb marker. Kamea aka piko hou e painu nei. I know what you guys are thinking. This one doesn't have a I marker, it has a nei marker. How do we tell the difference between a kahulu pepeke piko hou and a kahulu pepeke piko ole if they both use a painu nei? It's a good question. The main thing is you look for the piko hou, this possessor, because it's the possessor of the verb, not really the possessor of the thing. So if you wanted to say the cat that was eating right now, kind of near me, kapopoki e ai nei. If you want to say the fish that the cat was eating, kai'a a kapopoki e ai nei. The fish that the cat is eating right now. Just kind of by context. And then we also have this new possessor. Possessor of the action, not the possessor of the thing. Just some examples. Kavikio ana e nana nei. Kavikio ana e nana nei. The video that he is watching. Is a video watching him or her? Not really. But it is he that is watching the video. The colors will help you in this presentation. When in doubt, just remember purple is doing the orange. They're contrast colors, I think. Purple and orange. And then the exact opposite, the ke possessive, kana vikio e nana nei, the video that he's watching. Like a like. We also have one with a proper noun, kaviko, kavikio a kavika e nana nei, the video that Kavika is watching. And ka kavika vikio e nana nei. Ka kavika vikio e nana nei. The video that Kavika is watching. Kavika's video that he's watching. And the last one with a common noun, kavikio ana homana e nana nei. Kavikio ana homana e nana nei. The video that the student is watching. Very rarely will you ever get this type of thing with a common noun, ka na homana vikio e nana nei, just because it's a little bit confusing. Maikai. And this e painu ana, you still can have it in a Kahulu Pepeke Piko Hou. You can't not have it. It's not like it never happens. This does happen, just not as often as you'll see the e painuai. When you're talking about something that's going to happen. In this case, it's something that was happening but wasn't completed. Most case, that's how it's used. Kamea a kapiko hou e painuana. For example, kawa'a kakou e kalayana. Kawa'a kakou e kalayana. Is the wa'a carving us? Ole, we are carving the wa'a. Kind of like we're carving the wa'a. It's not pau yet, but we're carving them. We had to stop, eat lunch. Kind of contextual. These are really contextual in a sense. Kakako wa'a e kalayana. The wa'a that we were carving. Kawa'a Miki e kalayana. The wa'a that Miki was carving. And ka Miki wa'a e kalayana. The wa'a that Miki was carving. And then the last one with a common noun. Kawa'a ke kahuna e kalayana. Kawa'a ke kahuna e kalayana. And very rarely, ka ke kahuna wa'a e kalayana. Maikai, maikai. No laila. Hiki mai ka wā mo olelo. E hahai ke ia mo olelo. No ka ho'opa'a ana, ho'oikaika ana. I ka olelo, Kahulu Pepeke Piko Hou. Ina pono ka wā no ka no'o ana. Kaumi ke la pihi, ho'omaha, no'o. No ka pause ana. Alaila kaumi hou ke la pihi, no ka pa'ani, ho'omaka hou ana o ka wikio. Ina he ninau mai, maka leka wila paha. Alaila, ho'oma'ama, pane na ninau ke la ano. No laila. I ke ia la, ua upu mai ka iini e hua ka i aku i ka hiki. Aka o ka pili kia, a ohe o uwa'a e hua ka i ai i ka hiki. He haka mea au e make ai. He haka mea au e make ai. Mai kai, he wa'a. He wa'a ka mea au e make ai. No laila, ua hele au i ko'u hoa o Miki. He keiki oia no kaua lani ha'a no hana. He haka u mea i noi aku ai iaia. He haka u mea i noi aku ai iaia. Mai kai, he wa'a ka u mea i noi aku ai iaia. He wa'a ka u mea i noi aku ai iaia. A he hakana mea e ho'opa'a nei i kona lima. He hakana mea e ho'opa'a nei i kona lima. He ko'i kana mea e ho'opa'a nei i kona lima. He ko'i kana mea e ho'opa'a nei i kona lima. Just forgot to give this little disclaimer. So I'm answering the questions in kind of full sentences. It is real full in contextually speaking olelo Hawaii. You're probably not going to say the whole exact thing, but to practice we're saying the whole thing. So if the question was he haka na mea e ho'opa'a nei kona lima, you could just respond he ko'i and it registers. You can, by the context, you can see it. But for practice senses, he ko I kana mea ho'opa'a nei I kona lima. Mai kai, kala mai ka namu. O ka ho'omaka I hola no ia o miki I kana hana. O ka ho'omaka I hola no ia o miki I kana hana. If this is a new sentence for you, sentence pattern, o ka ho'omaka I hola no ia o miki I kana hana. This sentence means that something immediately happened right after. To make one of these sentences, o ka verb, so in this case ho'omaka, and then a directional with the la, I hola, akula, maila, aela, and no ia. O ka ho'omaka akula, I hola no ia. And then if you need to put someone that's doing the action, you just put it back here as like this possessor, a possessor of the action. So o ka ho'omaka I hola no ia o Miki I kana hana. Mickey immediately started his work. Some other sentences, o ka ha'alele akula no ia, o ka ai I hola no ia, o ka lele akula no ia. All of that means right after, immediately, this happened. He haka mea Miki e kālai nei. He haka mea Miki e kālai nei. Mai kai, he wa'a ka mea Miki e kālai nei. Li'i ia nei ke ia wa'a Miki e kālai nei. Li'i ia nei ke ia wa'a a Miki e kālai nei. A ole, nui no ke ia wa'a Miki e kālai nei. Mai kai. Ua pa'a no ka wa'a Miki I kālai ai. A ua kauo ia I kai. Ua kauo ia I kai. He aha ka'u I olelo aku ai iaia. He aha ka'u mea I olelo aku ai iaia. Mai kai, mahalo nui e ke hoa. A ua hua ka I pū maua. Ia maua e hua ka I ana. He aha ka mea I o ili mai. Mai kai, if we can see, this one is a kahulu pepeke piko ole. He aha ka mea I o ili mai. Ho'okahi mea, ho'okahi painu. He aha ka mea I o ili mai. He nui ka mea I o ili mai. He nui ka mea I o ili mai. Pehea ke ia he a maua I lawai aku ai. Pehea ke ia he a maua I lawai aku ai. Mai kai, ono loa ke ia he a maua I lawai aku ai. Ono loa. Ua ho'o mau aku maua I ka hua kai. O ili ke kahi I a hou. Hea ke ia ia I o ili mai. He niuhi nui ka ia I o ili mai. O ka niuhi, he mano nui. He mano ai kanaka. Pehea ke ia niuhi a maua I lawai aku ai. Ono loa ke ia niuhi a maua I lawai aku ai. Ua ho'o mau aku maua I ka hua kai. O ili mai ke kahi a hou. He aha ke ia I o ili mai. Oia, he kōkala nui ka ia I o ili mai. He kōkala nui ka ia I o ili mai. Pehea ke ia kōkala maua I lawai aku ai. Ho'o pai lua. Ho'o pai lua ke ia kōkala maua I lawai aku ai. Ole ono. Ua ho'o mau aku maua I ka ua kai. O ili ke kahi a hou. He aha ka ia ai, ke ia ia I o ili mai. Ai, mai kai. He au nui kai a I o ili mai. He au nui kai a I o ili mai. A pehea ke ia au a maua I la vai aku ai. Pehea ke ia au a maua I la vai aku ai. Mai kai ono loa ke ia au a maua I la vai aku ai. Ho o mau aku mau ai ka ua kai. A o ili ke kahi a hou. He hakai ai o ili mai. Pa a kiki paha ke ia. He hihi manu. He hihi manu. Po'o pueo kai ai o ili mai. He hihi manu po'o pueo kai ai o ili mai. A pehea ke ia hihi manu po'o pueo a maua I la vai aku ai. Ho o pai lua ke ia hihi manu po'o pueo a maua I la vai aku ai. Mai kai. I ka maua ho e ani kahiki. Wa pu iwa no maua I ka mea maua I ike ai. Wa pu iwa no maua I na mea maua I ike ai. Wa ola hou ke ia mauia. I ahea. Wa ola hou ke ia mauia a mākou I ai ai. A o ka maua au he e akula nuia, a hoi I Hawaii. Pipi holoka au. Mahalo nui I ka ho'olohe ana. Mahalo nui. No leila e hoa'o e pane ke ia mau ninau. Hoa'o e pane ke ia mau ninau. Ke kahi mai ka mo'olelo, ke kahi pili I kou ola pono I. No leila, he aha ka mea mua a maua o miki, he aha ka mea mua a maua I ai ma ka huakai. Ai, oia no, he he'e. He'e ka mea mua a maua I ai ma ka huakai. Ninau, pili a oe. He aha ka mea au I ai I ke ia ka kahiaka. He aha ka mea au I ai I ke ia ka kahiaka. Mai kai. And ila ana no ka pane. Just for an example. He hua moa ka mea au I ai I ke ia ka kahiaka. He hua moa ka mea au I ai I ke ia ka kahiaka. Kala mai a ole pahiki ke ike. He aha ka mea au e hana ai I ka hopena pule. He aha ka mea au e hana ai I ka hopena pule. Mai kai. And ila ana. He hana Haawina ka mea au e hana ai ma ka hopena pule. He hana Haawina ka mea au e hana ai ma ka hopena pule. Ai ole he hana ka mea au e hana ai ma. Oi hana, le heli ka hana. Yeah, mai kai. And just some olelo ma'amau that we can kind of hear that are usually Kahulu Pepeke Piko Hou. He hakau. He hakau is deceivingly a Kahulu Pepeke Piko Hou. It's short. Depends, but in context, you can be like, he hakau I olelo ai. He hakau mea I olelo ai. He hakau. What did you say? He hakau. He hakau. Kind of real shortened version of he hakau mea I olelo ai. What did you say? He hakau e hana nei. He hakau e hana nei. He hakau hana nei. What you doing? He hakau mea hana nei. He hakau hana nei. This quote, parentheses, sometimes it just gets dropped. He hakau hana nei. What you doing? He hakau onoi. He hakau onoi. What you ono for? He hakau mea onoi. What you craving? What you ono for? And he hakau mea namu mai nei. He hakau mea namu mai nei. What you grumbling about over there? Probably say that one to kids mostly. He hakau mea namu mai nei. What you complaining about? Oia, mai kai mahalo I ka nana ana ke ia wiki o. Ina, he ninau mai, hiki paha iau ke kokua. Ka mahalo ke hui ana, a hui hou.